What was particularly encouraging this year was to see the greater use of business impact metrics in submissions. After all, that's what an agency's client is looking at to determine the success of a campaign. It made it easier for us as judges to be able to compare one campaign against another.
It was very inspiring to see the high quality of entries, each of them showcasing an excellent understanding of consumer insight, business challenges, and then translating them into impactful marketing campaigns.
I found myself enjoying it immensely because of the show quality of the work that was being presented. There were so many good ideas and innovations that came through in the submissions, and it was a very enjoyable experience reading through it.
I had fun with it, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be on these standout judges.
The submissions that we saw showed us that quality creative, great execution, and really good data and insights to track performance is the perfect combination to support brands and marketers as they move through to economic recovery.
It was an amazing learning experience to judge the industry award during the pandemics, and it reminds me of the good work, creativity, and resilience of the agencies and marketeers.
It's nice to see that despite the challenges and circumstances faced this year, the quantity and quality of award submissions remained high. And I think it's really nice that as an industry we're taking the time and effort still to recognize and celebrate all the achievements that have been made by agencies within this difficult year.
But overall quite positive. It was amazing to see the creativity and the kind of work that many of you have done, so I really want to congratulate you for that.
So judging the Agency of the Year awards this year has been really interesting. I would say we went through the entire judging process as we were going into the circuit breaker, which you can imagine was pretty difficult given all the transitions. But what was even more difficult is kind of deciding in between all the submissions which ones to pick and really how to give those gradings.
During the judging process, I learned a lot of great ideas and innovation concepts from the award participants.
I had a lot of fun going through the entries, and I'm really honored to be part of the judging process.
It was great fun scoring and reviewing all the submissions for the Agency of the Year awards. I must say it was quite difficult to score them and actually discriminate between the different entries. It was really nice to see the different models that the agencies are using to scale up their business in Singapore.
The second area where I've seen a lot of progress over the last few years is in market segmentation, audience segmentation. I'm quite happy to debate anybody who thinks that millennials is a target audience. So it was great to see that word and that segmentation wasn't used this year. This year has been incredibly different, very difficult year for many people. And I think the agencies that will come out as winners this year are the ones that really go back to the basics.
It was amazing to see the innovation and growth achieved by some of the local agencies which are now emerging as strong players in the industry.
What stood out for me was that enough focus was put on innovation and creativity. Nowadays, when we talk about marketing, it's always about performance marketing and really more the science of it. But I was pleasantly surprised that enough focus was put on the creativity aspect as well, and as well as the innovative solutions that came across.
What stood out to me the most was the high caliber and the quality of the submissions.
Was across the board, agencies had taken the client's business problem and looked for new and creative ways to engage customers and bring them into the brand story that the client was trying to tell.
What stood out the most as I went through the submission was the creativity and the understandings of the client needs among the top agencies.
I think a sense of normalcy came back to me as I was reviewing the submissions because it felt very much business as usual as much as possible. Seeing all the work that was submitted, I think the resilience and the resourcefulness of agencies really shone through. And yeah, it felt like any other normal year, just through the lens of seeing their achievements.
How digital was woven into the work. Equally importantly, what I saw was social and environmental themes in a lot of campaigns, and most of the campaigns had clear ROI metrics driven around them.
Number one, clearly there were a number of agencies which had put in a significant amount of effort to make it easier, make it concise, and share the impact that they had on their clients' business, which I thought was fantastic.
We saw so many submissions that were super thoughtful, creative, but also keeping in mind the business objectives. So I thought that was really good just to see like such a great quantum of amazing work.
This year, I noticed some of participants already engaged the subject regarding to CSR and also sustainability. And most of the participants also utilize digital platform to engage all your audience.
What really stood out to me was that there were quite a number of agencies that were able to demonstrate thought leadership, strategic view, as well as ability to execute for their clients in today's very dynamic landscape.
What's really struck me was an involved and advanced use of data to really build solutions for clients using AI and AR. Another thing that struck me was a lot of emphasis on diversity and inclusion, not only in the work that the agencies are doing, but also in the people that they're hiring. It's really a badge of honor for our industry. Kudos to all of them.
And my experience in working with people from the industry in the last 6 months has convinced me that that the agency will survive well into 2021 as we gradually transit into a new environment, a new norm, so to speak. And the resilience of the industry comes into play at these times. As they say, tough times makes tough people.
The best thing that I can say to you, although a bit cliche, is just to hang on, because it's been a difficult year for all of us, but you have to admit that it gave us a lot of opportunity to explore and have fun with the campaigns that we run.
Please continue to push on purpose. We're entering a decade where sustainability, climate action, diversity and inclusion are going to be powerful drivers of economic growth. And big brands are going to need agency partners who are able to help them shape the direction of their businesses in these areas as they move forward.
So my suggestions to the finalists for next year is that change is the only constant, particularly during the pandemic. However, it offers hope and opportunity for growth. So let's embrace the change fearlessly and enjoy the adventure ahead of us. Thank you.
What would stand out in my mind is campaigns that are focused around ensuring that our communities are able to sustain together without losing their business focus.
Try and make it very easy for someone to read through your entries. Make it simple. Don't use jargons. We all get confused with jargons. And most importantly, show the impact. Like, I come from the business side. I'm not an agency, right? But for me, what really matters more than the activity or the initiative, it's a lot about what was the impact. What was the impact on the brand, in terms of revenue, in terms of profitability, in terms of bringing in new customers. I think those metrics are really key. So make sure that you pull them out in a way which is clear and which anybody like me reading it can also understand.
I think that 2020, although is challenging, is not a bad year. I think it's been pretty amazing for brands and agencies alike. It's really given us, I think, the push we need to kind of zoom out and look at our creatives and our businesses and our marketing strategies in a completely different way. And also to really kind of light the fire up inside of us, to pivot, to change, to be really do things differently in the next year. So I think going to next year, we will really be able to leverage all the challenges we had in 2020 as an opportunity to do greater and better things for next year.
And I believe year 2020 is not an easy year for most of us. So I think all we have to do is keep positive, to strive together and develop more great ideas toward the industry.
step would be to really continue to innovate and bring in product offerings that can differentiate you from your competitors in the market.
We will see demand come back, and it is, I think, our role to accelerate consumer demand. And how do we do that? By taking data, using it responsibly, and blending it with outstanding creativity to deliver stories and propositions that consumers can't get enough of. And that's the way we're going to really build back demand. And that's really the responsibility before us as we go into 2021.
The basis of that is really knowing the client, knowing the individual and the context that that individual is in, and therefore the messages that might resonate with that individual.
My one advice: less is more. Starting with a concise summary for your entry, highlighting the achievements in linkage to the key judgment criteria will serve as a very powerful hook for the judging panel.